this evening. I'll call the meeting to order and we will start with a roll call.
Warren Oxford,
Here.
Mike Pittman,
Here.
David Bramer,
Here.
David Ferguson,
Yes.
Jenny Beverly, here, Ray Black, Britt Copeland,
Here.
Lisa Hammock.
We have a quorum, so we will go ahead with our meeting. First item that we have on our agenda, we elected our officers at our last meeting, so we have that out of the way already. Communications, I think the commissioners have an update on the one vacancy we have on the board.
Sure, we will appoint Larry Wynn to the planning commission on our meeting.
That'll
on
be what,
Thursday.
this coming
This Thursday.
Thursday, all right. And then also have a note here on revision of solar ordinances and zoning enforcement. So it's a couple of things, may take just a few minutes. If the board doesn't object, I'd like to go back. Is Ralph Burge here this evening? Ralph's here. And I think there was someone else here that had concern. All right, there. Yes, we had a couple of people that had some concerns on our decision we made on our DuPont zoning. And since they're here this evening and may or may not want to sit through the rest of the meeting, I thought we'd go ahead and start with that. It's my understanding their main concern has been that they did not receive their notice in time before the meeting. But we have checked with Taylor, and what we go by is the postmark date on it that's turned in, and definitely the notices were mailed in the time frame that they had were supposed to be. And we don't have an obligation to go further than that initially, but more than glad to listen to your concerns. Just come on up and tell us who you are, and we'll be glad to entertain what your thoughts are.
I'm Ralph Burge. I live at 10621 North, 700 West DuPont. The only concern I have about it is there going to actually be a fence all the way around it? Because the problem is it'll join up against the back of my property. And we've had problems before, people coming across from the trailer court down there, getting on my land, stealing stuff, finally got that stopped. Now my concern is DuPont's a small town, neighbors looks out for neighbors. Well, if there's not a fence put around this, somebody pull in off that highway, park right there at the park, in the parking lot and walk right in behind my place and break into my house or anything. Nobody even wouldn't even know anybody was around till me and my wife came home and either caught them there or seen we had a bunch of stuff missing.
Okay.
I've had incidents before where somebody's come there during the day, and one of the neighbors up the road has told me and said, "Hey, there's this car I don't know about."
Right.
So that's my concern, I'd like to see a fence all the way around the side and the whole back side of it. That way it keeps somebody from being able just to pull in there beside it and come right back across the field there through that woods line, get in mine or my neighbor's place.
Well, we had some follow-up communication with the Dollar General builder that's putting it up. And it's my understanding they definitely have plans on putting up a 6-foot tall privacy fence. I cannot tell you that, of course, it's not going to totally surround the property because you've got parking lot area and you have vehicles in and out. But I think in the feedback we've got, I think they're more than willing to address those types of concerns. Is that?
That's what I'm saying, is they're going to go around the back and then down the sides, which I know the whole front would probably be open.
It's my understanding they're intending to address. It's my understanding they're intending to address that concern.
Okay. That's my only concern about it.
And then as well, there's another opportunity when it's not just a one meeting decide all. After the plan commission, we made a recommendation favorable on changing the zoning to the commissioners. And the commissioners will have an opportunity at their meeting. They don't normally have a public hearing on those, but I've not known them to not let someone express concerns if they had concerns. So, there would be another opportunity there if you were strong on wanting to try to persuade your local government to stop it from going in. You'd still have an opportunity to have those conversations.
Like I said, I'm not against it going in. I'm just wanting, know that I've got a protection, a barrier between me and just somebody come up and.
Yeah, it's my understanding they're willing to work on that.
So,
yes, you have Anyone else want to address come on up, tell us your name and.
My name's Daryl By. I live at 10631 North, 700 West.
Mhm.
This is the building that's gonna be built right behind my house.
Mhm.
I have a lot of concerns about this. One, is my taxes going to go up because this building goes up? Is my property going to devalue or is it going to increase on this property? Am I going to have to deal with all the trash people leave their receipts and their bags taken out because they don't want to mess with it because they're right bag and throw it in? Am I the one that's going to be the one to clean that up? Also, if I was here that day we had, I would oppose this because I would not want that backyard. I did not move up the country to have a big yellow Dollar General sign hanging up in my backyard. I bought it for the sunset so I can see the stars and I'm gonna lose all of that. Another thing is, like you said, you know, people coming through the backyards and stuff like that. I'm gonna be putting no trespassing signs up and look up the laws on my legal actions that I can take for people coming through my yard. And not trying to be, you know, anything, but I wanna know my possibility. Also, another thing is, DuPont is known for people to ditch animals in that area. So someone can literally ditch their puppy or their dog that they got for Christmas that for 6 months they can't handle. And then they're gonna be in mine and Ralph's backyard. That's another big concern.
We appreciate it. And, you know, we'd looked at it and considered the issues as far as the overall zoning in that area and where it was located and so forth. And, our board had decided that it would have been was a good fit there as such. But, hopefully the fence will address the main concern. You know, I don't know, can't tell you as to what type of job they will do on keeping their lot clean, but, that's generally something that's expected of a business in the country, in the area and so forth. And the fencing should cut down on it blowing off the property to a significant benefit and so forth. So, but you would have an opportunity, commissioners meeting is what time Thursday? 5 Thursday evening.
So there's to
What's that?
do.
If you wanted to address the commissioners on it and the same concerns, you'd have an opportunity to do so there.
Thank you.
And it's up at, you know where the EMA is or so 620 Green Road.
Okay.
So it's to be working.
Anyone else on the DuPont zoning? All right. If not, going to move on as far as just update. I know we said some people are in the solar ordinances here this evening. I had talked to the board briefly at the last meeting, but our plans at this point is to have one additional public meeting that we're having the technical committee review, to have additional input from the public at that meeting when we go over the solar. And the majority of that, there's several issues that we have not talked about at all. And we're going to move on and address those. As far as the some of the discussion and decision on the limiting a particular size and down a distance and so forth, that will be being brought back to the plan commission as a whole to have further discussions on. Whatever decisions they end up and whatever ordinance proposal they put together for that, it will be published, made available, and then there will be another public hearing scheduled for the public to input additional on all of the changes that we're proposing at one time. And I do not have a date for the next technical committee, but I would think we're probably going to shoot for about 2 weeks from tonight, if possible. And we'll have that meeting again up at the EMA building where we have a little bit more room for everyone. So then this evening, we'll move on then on our agenda. We have zoning enforcement on Calvin Daughtery. And Josh, you want to bring us up to date on that?
Yeah, here's, I just printed off 3 of these because there's so many entries in there, but certified mail that we'd sent Calvin. You all want to pass them around or whatever. Here's a map on the front and back of his properties. And I've outlined on those also. Calvin has property up 421 at Bryant'sburg. And he has pulled in. He's pulled in, I believe there's there's 4 houses, there's 8 halves, trailer halves that are pulled in and parked on those properties. He's got to come in and pull any kind of permitting. I've tried to contact him about doing that a few times. And there is a existing plat that's in existence there at Bryansburg. He's wanting to put the trailers there, but he hasn't, like I said, he's gonna have to get variances, he's gonna have to get septic approvals. He would have to parcel those out. None of that is in the works at all. And the trailers have been sitting there about a year now, so I think February, I don't know exactly what date. In February last year is the first time I reached out to contact him about the issue of the trailers sitting there. Our ordinance says you can't have any unlicensed or inoperable trailers or vehicles setting just on your property. So that's where I'm at on that, and trying to see where the board wants to go from here. Pat, you got anything you want to add to that?
Just that we sent him a certified letter notifying him he needs to appear before the board, that he'd been, multiple contacts with Josh, they needed to be before the board. For the January meeting, he then responded and indicated that he was not going to be in state for the January meeting and asked to be postponed to the February meeting, which happened. We agreed to postpone to the February meeting. And then he sent notification to me, January 24th, indicating that he would not be here for today's meeting. He sent a relatively long email that, frankly doesn't address the direct issue. I mean, like it talks sort of about his plans about, eventually developing these subdivision lots, but does not address the ongoing violation issue. So it didn't respond. So I responded to him and told him that the planning commission would most likely still consider the issue and make a decision about whether or not to proceed with enforcement if he wasn't here.
Generally, I like to be able to hear from the particular person we're having enforcement action, but I think that he's been given every ample opportunity to be here and to address the board, and I am comfortable moving on with whatever the board decides to do without him having been here this evening. So, what's the board's thoughts? I guess it might help first. What are our options at this particular time, Pat, as far as enforcement side, if they would decide they wanted to move forward with an enforcement action?
The primary option of enforcement action is state court for the purposes of asking the court to enforce the UDO, including continuous enforcement orders, potential injunctive orders, as well as enforcing the fine provisions of the ordinance.
Then in addition, when I was doing a little bit of research on these mobile homes, separate from our zoning side of it that comes into play, before those mobile homes were ever moved, period, onto the property, they are required to go to the treasurer's office and go through filling out the paperwork of what the mobile home is, so forth, where it's going to be going and so forth. And you have to have that permit to legally move the mobile home, and also of the owner of the property of where the mobile home is going on to. You have to have that permit to be able to put the mobile home on your property. They do that primarily so they can keep track of assessed value, start picking up taxation and so forth when they should have. And I don't see to where any of that's occurred in this process at all.
Didn't come up with anything.
Right.
Nobody had
And
anything.
the county's website actually has the spot to where you go in and you can download the form that you fill out and the information that's there, and takes care of it, before you transfer title and so forth. So what's the board's thought on how they want to proceed on this?
Josh, how long has this been going on
Right at a year.
from your first communication to now? And he's never, what you've told us is all the feedback you've gotten over the,
There's a list of, I've tried to contact him over and over and he doesn't respond, and then he may send something saying, I'm working on it, I'm trying to get this together, and nothing ever develops from it. So
so you probably,
around August, I tried to get him to come in and at least come before the BZA and file for any variances or anything that he needs, but he's failed to do that yet as well.
so in your opinion probably is if we don't move forward, he'll probably never do anything in this situation from what you've seen so far?
I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is that the neighborhood, the people that are surrounding there, that something needs to be done on their behalf.
Right.
So that they can move forward with their lives and not have a bunch of trailers parked right up along the edge of the road, so.
Who else?
I have a statement. Right?
We'll finish a little bit on board discussion, now open it up. Anyone else on the board have any comments? All right, thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open up for any public input on the issue if you want. Come up and tell us who you are and go from there.
I'm Christine Lanham and I live at 751 East on 1033 North. Right across, I see this eyesore every day in my life. And I've been battling stage 4 lung cancer and I had my left lung removed. And these trailers are growing mold and everything else in it. And I'm breathing this in and I'm trying to protect the one lung I do have from all this. And the plastic's falling down, the house, they're falling down, they're trash. It's like, it's an eyesore. He tore my property up when he moved them in. They, cut my big tree down and whacked it all down. Didn't ask. If they would have asked, I would have okayed it, but when you don't ask, permission to do things, then it's unhealthy for me to live across the street from it. And when I'm trying to battle my life,
Thank
I
you.
don't like it. It's an eyesore.
I understand. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, come on up.
Hello, Monty Brandon, me and my wife Emma live at 9986 North US 421. His property is over in Jones, ours. Sue Bladen here, hers, she's right across from him also. Our big thing is the type of people that would come in and live in the home that he's got there. He has other trailer parks kind of out in the country. Might buy some farmland and grow 10 trailers on it. Not a good situation with what's happening here. If he continues to do what he's doing, my property value, everybody around him will go way down. Like people that comes with that, the trash, we've got a nice lake, nice fence around our property. We just don't want to see, we take care and pride in what we have. We don't want to lose what we have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
That's all I got. Good, thank you.
anyone else? Come on up.
My name is Patrick Trapowski, live in 982, 1033, the road the houses are on. The border along the north side. Has anyone here seen property?
Yes, I've drove by.
Okay,
Where the trailers are setting is where you're referring to.
Yes.
Yes, I've drove by it.
okay, what used to be out of Cutter's farm. The place where he has two of the houses pulled into used to be a cow pasture, which is irrelevant. But it is extremely steep. It's a ravine. Also sitting on bedrock. Now, I have an issue with how could you maintain or even put in a septic system on a hillside that's sloped over 20 degrees. And on a rock shelf, water is going to come out. It can only go down so far before it hits its level and then it will seek its way out. Our property has the ravine dumps onto us. It actually comes out on a rock ledge and water falls onto our property. And we have a little waterway that runs through our property. It flows right into that. Will septic water, or whatever you want to call it, run into this ravine and into that waterway? Would that be something that could be considered if it is approved? I don't know what process or what state this is in for as far as consideration.
At this point, correct me if there's not been any application or zoning variance asked for, is that correct? There's not been anything asked. All that we're dealing with mainly at this time is the fact that he has trailers that appear to be in very poor condition, sitting on property where they shouldn't be sitting. We don't know if his plans would be to install those trailers near where he has them sitting, or if that's just somewhere where he's storing them currently. So we're just strictly addressing an attempt to take court action to get the trailers moved out. There would be other issues if he comes in with site plans and so forth of wanting to install a trailer in a given, or a mobile home in a given location, or build a house in a given location, so forth. And there's a whole totally separate set of steps that we go through on that, as far as granting variances and having to have proof of approval of septic system and so forth. And we're not at that point on any of these to my knowledge as such. There's been one small sketch brought in on some property that's would not meet our current zoning standards, but I think some of it is grandfathered in because of the size plats, but certain variances would still have to be given on those. And they have to figure out a way for septic and so forth. And we're just not at that point at all. We're just on addressing these being stored where they shouldn't be stored.
I won't waste your time anymore.
No, you're fine. You didn't waste your time. Very glad to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? What's the thoughts of the board? What, someone wants to make a motion
I'll make a motion,
that we
move forward.
with court action?
Yeah.
Okay.
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. A unanimous vote. Proceed with the court filing. Do we have anything else that the public wants to address the board on this evening? Yes,
Did you already address the solar updates?
yes, we did. That's all we have at this point.
So I was kind of confused as far as the size and maybe limitations that's gonna be addressed in the technical committee.
No, I think we're gonna move on some issues that we can try to make some progress on in the technical committee. If we'd happen to get those done quickly and have some time yet that evening, we may come back and discuss size and distance between again. But you're gonna bring those issues or any others we haven't been able to come to some type of understanding in the technical committee back to the entire plan commission, and they would have further discussions. And then whatever their decision is, there'll be a public hearing after that as such. So, and something, I'm not aware of the details. I've seen a few of the emails, but the people that are interested in solar should probably be following. There is some proposed bills going before the House at the state level at this given time. From what I've seen of those, it is a attempt to take it away from home rule and to where it would be decided at the state level instead of at local levels. Indiana looked at that once before and it didn't fly. I don't know my way around the state system well enough to tell you how all of that works as such, but I'm sure it's an area that it would help to get some input in. And from what I understand, you can be most successful if you get what you want coming out of committee versus trying to change it a whole lot after it's out of committee. That's not an area that I've got any expertise in, but do know what's going on. And I'm sure those of you that are very passionate on the solar are probably more aware of it than I am, probably.
Do you have an update on the Orion appeal?
No, it is still gathering information, just basically discovery or gathering their information both directions. Pat could update better than I.
So when you go through that type of appeal, there's a board record that has to be prepared, and the record has already been prepared. The only question is what transcript we're going to be using, because they're required to prepare, or they're required to pay for the preparation of the transcripts. So they requested an extension of time to submit the board record to the court, which the court approved. So as of right now, the board record is due February 19th, which includes all the documents and all the submissions that were made to the board. It also includes the transcripts, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them as to how they intend to have the transcript prepared.
Can you tell me why they filed it in Switzerland County?
Yeah, it's an oddity in the law where, instead of the action being required to be filed in the county, it's required to be filed in the judicial, I'm gonna say this wrong. It's required to be filed in the region, as opposed to the county. Like, so there's a specific statute with regard to, where venue lies for those type of actions. And honestly, under the Indiana trial rules, whenever a cause of action involves the county itself, it's an automatic change of venue anyway under the trial rules. But then there's a specific venue statute which says they can file it anywhere in the region, and Switzerland County is included in the same region as Jefferson County.
And you'll be representing the county? the
That's correct.
PCA?
Yes.
I just didn't see your appearance in there yet.
I'm pretty
that's
sure I
fine.
filed my appearance, but I'll double check that.
Okay, thank you.
And it's my understanding the county has decided that they're comfortable with leaving it before the judges before, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
there's no cause for a change.
No cause for a change of judge. That's all we have on that. Board have anything else? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Well, thank you all.